Let me just say that sometimes when I go to my local zoo, I don't feel like I'm there to look at the animals. I feel like I'm there to be looked at. Like the animals secretly roast me at night, like they're kind of judging me low key and trying to figure out what kind of demented species I am. Although I will say sometimes they make me feel good about myself. I mean, just look at this guy. He completely gave up on life. It's just a big giant blob of skin at this point. You can definitely tell this dude is like never getting laid. Anyways, we'll roast the animals on a completely different video because today it's actually pretty dead serious. We're going to be talking about the Black Series line, and today is technically Black Friday. That's when I'm recording this video. Really interesting. I actually had no intentions of doing anything today. I'm not a Black Friday shopper. I'm not going out there elbowing people just, to save like $20 on a flat screen television. That's not who I am anymore. That's like the old version of myself. I literally just woke up, I ate breakfast, I spent some time with the kids, we went grocery shopping, did some random stuff, and then I got home and found out that there was this Obi-Wan and what was it, the 212th Battalion Clone Trooper 2-pack that was announced for Hasbro. I think it was the Hasbro Pulse website. I completely whiffed on it. I checked it, later in the day, and then it was completely sold out. But this kind of got me thinking about some of the other 2-packs that Hasbro has been releasing within the last few years. And granted, some of them are great. We've received, what was it, the Stormtrooper and the Rebel 2-pack not too long ago with the windowless packaging, and I can't remember quite exactly what the retail for that was, but I think it was like $40 or 40 something dollars. It was great value. It wasn't something that you were going to display in packaging, obviously, because windowless, but it's a good army builder. It comes with a couple of accessories here and there, and it adds value to your display, especially if you're just looking to get the figures and then get them into your display. They also had the Battle Droid and the Phase 2 Clone Trooper 2-pack, which that new Clone Trooper obviously has that new body mold with the updated tech. So it was a really good not technically a re-release, but it was a good release. It gave people an opportunity to pick up that Phase 2 Clone Trooper along with a Battle Droid, even though I believe both of them were re-releases, because we have seen this Phase 2 Clone Trooper. Again, I could be mistaken, but going off of recent memory, I think that was a single release. But this was kind of an opportunity for you to pick up both. It really wasn't something that I personally feel was necessary, because like I said, both of these particular action figures or characters have been featured in single releases, but at least it made sense. Like I said, it gave people an opportunity to army build these, just throw them into your display, even if they were, pretty readily available. However, there have been some other 2-packs that in my mind just make absolutely no sense. This is a prime example of that. You're getting and I believe this is like the General Kenobi with like the Stormtrooper or the Clone Trooper attire. And I believe there's another version of this particular Obi-Wan that's already been released and now is being re-released. I believe you can still pick this up like at Big Bad Toy Store or Entertainment Earth. I believe this is on pre-order for myself. I can't quite remember or pinpoint exactly what the differences here are, but essentially it's like the Clone Commander Obi-Wan with the clone attire, with the clone armor all over, and then with his lightsaber and some cloth goods. Like I said, I think one version is a re-release of like a Walgreens exclusive original version, and then the other one I believe is like the Target exclusive one. I could be completely mistaken. I'm going off of like recent memory, but I do remember this one being like a really hot commodity as a Target exclusive. That one was like a Clone Wars packaging version. I believe it was released with like a couple of other clone troopers, and then like an Anakin Skywalker, if I'm not mistaken. The other one, like I said, is a Walgreens exclusive. Now it's being re-released. I'm going to assume that this is an updated body mold. I don't even watch the live streams or pay attention to any of the news anymore. I just look at the listings. But going off of it, I'm going to assume that it's the new Phase 2 Clone Trooper body mold with the updated tech. I could be wrong, but let's just assume that. What is really mind-boggling to me is the fact that they decided to throw in both Obi-Wan and a clone trooper in here. Now, as I said, I don't mind 2-packs when they're going to both add value to your display. And in this particular situation, Maybe they both add value to your display. I can't quite remember, but also I believe that 212th Battalion Clone Trooper is also a re-release, but that really is irrelevant here. The biggest problem is the fact that they're throwing in this Obi-Wan Black Series figure that people have been just salivating for. They're literally like just so rabid about any version of Obi-Wan that is, especially if it's like the prequel era. There's a huge demand for it, and it's crazy to think that they threw in a clone trooper that could be technically or is technically an army builder. I can't even begin to calculate or even fathom how many different collectors picked up multiples of these 2-packs just to have a few of those 212th Battalion clone troopers. That makes absolutely no sense in my mind that Hasbro would decide to do that. Now, obviously, it's a business decision on their end, because they could care less how many of these 2-packs certain collectors are going to want. That's irrelevant to them. They're only going to look at how many they sold, what's their profit, and how much they could move in the future if they decide to make more single releases for these particular characters. But why lock the Obi-Wan in that particular way? And let's just hypothetically say that there are some collectors that picked up at least 2 to 3 of these. What are they going to theoretically do with these Obi-Wans? I mean, maybe there's a small percentage of them that take these and then like do some custom work for them. There may be some that have multiple different Star Wars displays, and they're going to spread out their Obi-Wans across those displays. Maybe they have like an episode 2 version or an episode 2 display, maybe an episode 3 display, and they kind of, like I said, scatter them across their display. But more often than not, we're going to start to see these pop up on eBay or Amazon or whatever third-party marketplace they can find, even local avenues like Facebook and OfferUp, and they're going to mark these figures up. And guess what? Hasbro doesn't really care about that. It's irrelevant to them what happens after they move the product. Their sole purpose is to just get those numbers, get those profit margins up, and everything else is to them is completely irrelevant. Whether these particular buyers had to buy multiples of these and then end up with multiple different Obi-Wans, that's not really Hasbro's problem. And I think it's really a bad mindset for Hasbro to have, to not really care about their consumers this way. Let's not forget, they just recently did that Super Battle Droid 2-pack where they had the Super Battle Droid and then the regular Battle Droid with a C-3PO head sculpt, placed on it, which I think is like a scene from episode 3, if I'm not mistaken. But it just really, again, just makes no sense that would be a character that you may end up with multiples of if you were interested in army building these. Now, let's be brutally honest, I think we kind of blew it out of proportion at the time that this particular 2-pack got announced, because I think within like a few weeks we found out that the Super Battle Droid was going to have a single release, so it really made it easier for a lot of collectors to kind of hold off on the 2-pack. But there were a lot of those collectors, and let's be brutally honest, a large percentage of Star Wars collectors may be incredibly impatient, and it's not really their fault. They don't really trust Hasbro to have these widely available. A lot of the time when you receive a 2-pack like this, you may not see the single release years down the line, or if you do see it, we don't know how widely available they're going to be. Most of these Star Wars figures are starting to become fan channel exclusives, or just exclusives to their own website, the Hasbro Pulse website. So that makes them incredibly limited. So there were a lot of hardcore collectors that decided to pick up multiples of these 2-packs, maybe like 2 to 3 of them, just to have enough battle droids or super battle droids for their display, and then ended up with a lot of these extra C-3PO battle droids. Again, Hasbro was counting the cheddar, they were counting the lettuce. They don't really care what strain this could potentially have on the overall community, because there will be some collectors that really want to army build, that want to have a few of these, and they have the extra funds for it, and so they're going to pick up multiples of these. But then there will be other collectors that maybe arrive a few minutes late and they're not able to get one, and then have to go to the third party to find a lot of these. The Obi-Wan, I think, is going to be a slightly different conversation than for example, the C-3PO, which you could probably jump online and buy for like $15. I mean, nobody's like jumping out of their pants to try to buy these. Nobody's throwing their credit cards at other collectors saying, just take my money. So they're not necessarily equal in that regard. but it's definitely putting a strain on the community when you could easily just have these be like single releases, or at least let the collectors know that there will be some single releases later down the line, for them to have, you know, more options available, for them to be able to calculate exactly what it is that they're going to purchase and how many of each individual character they're going to buy. So I just wanted to make a really quick video where I address this. I think that Hasbro really needs to put a little bit more thought into their releases. I know the Black Series line is not selling as well. I think there's some numbers thrown out there where potentially the Black Series line is really suffering, but I think honestly it's Hasbro's own doing. I think a lot of the time when they have the ability to be able to do something for the consumer, something as simple as this, you know, packaging 2 figures that have army building potential or capability, something as simple as that to really help the community. And I think the sales would reflect that. Whereas in a lot of the times you're getting, you know, 2-pack releases like this, we're seeing outdated body molds. How many times have we talked about the single jointed elbows, the single jointed knees sometimes from the Black Series line, you know, outdated head sculpts or body molds, and you know, just tech that really doesn't make sense, especially considering Hasbro has been very innovative, or at least I shouldn't say very innovative, but they've been somewhat innovative with the Marvel Legends line, where they're, you know, giving us pinless technology, double jointed knees and elbows, and some phenomenal neck articulation, and yet you're not applying that for the Black Series line. And this is just yet another issue to add to a long list of issues that the Black Series line has had. So I just feel like there are these tiny little things that Hasbro can do, and this isn't even something that's going to cost them any money. It's not something that they have to go out there and like be innovative or creative or hire, you know, a new team of engineers to you know, rework any figure. It's just something simple like this. If you're going to do 2-packs, make sure that one of them isn't going to be an army builder, because it's really going to put a strain on the community as a whole. And then obviously there are other things down the pipeline that we wish we could have, like the newer tag, pinless technology and things of that nature that we'll eventually see. But for the time being, I think just simple little things like that could really help the Black Series line and could help the community. Because let's be brutally honest, I think the Black Series community is very tight-knit, and it's much smaller than, like, let's say the Marvel Legends or the DC fan base. But as always, this is just my personal opinion. This is my personal take. I just wanted to share with you guys a minor little gripe that I have with Hasbro. It's not the end of the world, but I think it's just like a minor little adjustment that they can make that could really help, you know, the collectible community, especially for such a small little line. But as always, let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hopefully you guys found some really killer deals during Black Friday. I know there were some great sales happening, whether it was like Amazon or even AliExpress. A lot of these websites had some great deals going on. So hopefully you guys were able to find some really cool figures and collectibles. Let me know your thoughts down below. Did you guys find anything cool? Do you guys plan on going shopping later for the holidays? Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you guys in the next one. And as always, make sure to enjoy the hobby. That's the most important part of all this. Pose your figures, photograph them, play with them, just enjoy them. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.